Please rise for invocation by Chaplain Dr. Jim Brooks of Advent Health Mission and Ministry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we gather this evening to discuss issues and to make decisions for our city and the communities therein. We invite your presence at this meeting and promise to stay open to your guidance as we use the sound judgment and wisdom required to reach impartial conclusion. Give us unity of spirit and help us to listen as others share their points of view. Enlighten us so we can properly focus on the merits and pitfalls of each matter placed before us. Then we can rejoice as we bind together to realize what is best for our city and each citizen. We ask for your blessings and guidance on our city council members as they wisely evaluate options, consider the pros and cons, and move to make the best possible decisions and effectively plan to carry them out. This we ask in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Grubbs,
Present.
Councilman Bastian,
Here.
Councilman Stittler,
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. All are present. We have a full quorum, even Councilman Howden. What's your name now?
Whatever you want to be.
Okay. I'll remember that later. With that, public comments on consent agenda items. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Robert. Come on up. What you got for us?
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North. With regard to 7A and 7B with Pegasus, the task of them helping with the litigation, there was an article in the Hometown News, June 16th, and it says cities, counties helping with flooding problems. And the mitigation grants cover most of the costs to elevate flood-prone homes, to buy and tear down ones that can't be elevated, or in some cases to be rebuilt. Properties that receive tear-down grants are given back to the city for use as parks or playgrounds. And it gives two examples, one in Deltona and one in Ormond Beach, where there are homeowners that are interested in using this tear-down grant. It also cites a website for the Florida Disaster Organization, .org, and in the Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program, I found a page that says that one of the uses is for acquisition of hazardous-prone homes and businesses which enable owners to relocate to safer areas. So what I'm asking is that when you task Pegasus on this grant program, that you also task them to look to see if this tear-down grant option would be available to us, and if we have any people that would be interested in taking part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Anyone else? Can I have a motion on the agenda for the evening?
So moved.
Would you like to
Well,
pull an item?
I do not need to pull one.
7G.
So you move the...
All right. So then move to approve the agenda, but moving 7F from consent.
You mean 7G?
All right, 7G?
7G.
7G.
We have
I
a motion to
apologize.
remove 7G from consent and approve the agenda for the evening. Do I have a second?
Second.
We do have a motion, proper second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda, items 6, 7A, B, C, D, E, F, 8 and B. May I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve consent items 6, 7A through F, and 8.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Good. Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. The balance of the consent agenda is approved. That brings us to item 7G. Tracy, what you got for us?
So it's more of a discussion on 7G.
Mhm.
I talked with the managers at length on this one. One of my biggest concerns is that when we go out for bid, the bid is open to all parties, which it is, but how do we get that information purveyed out to those parties? So when we have all the types of media streams and everything that we have to our disposal, there's still local businesses that don't know bids are out there that they could come forward and bid on. So my concern is working with Mike Springer and Public Information is making sure that we're hitting all media streams, that bids are there available for local Port Orange businesses so we can keep the money in Port Orange.
Mhm.
That's my concern.
Okay. Can I have a motion for approval of 7G?
Move to approve item 7G.
Second.
We have a motion, a proper second, to approve item 7G. Tracy, thank you for your comments. Any other comments? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0, approved. Public participate. Are the lights different up here?
Mood lighting.
Yes, I was gonna say. Like it's not too soon for me to start taking jabs at Wayne. Public participation, non-agenda. Chris Cunningham.
Hey, Chris.
How are you today?
Good.
So, flooding, I get a lot of questions on the various boards that I'm on regarding how has Port Orange handled flooding. I know over in the part of town that I live in, we were heavily flooded. People are still putting their houses back together. Some aren't putting their houses back together, but I would like to see some sort of communication with the public. We now have a Brett storm out there already. Why this is happening so soon, we know why, but what we need to do is really talk to the people about what we've changed, what we've learned since Hurricane Ian and Nicole. And over in the part of the city that I live in, we've been having these various very heavy thunderstorms with a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. Some parts are draining the way they should, other parts are not, once again, and we haven't even started yet. So the communication feedback, any feedback from the neighborhoods, what have we seen, what are you seeing when we have these storms going that are happening almost daily? What are you seeing, what can we fix, how can we be there for the people? And any type of communication, whether it's using social networking, whether it's using what's put out now with all your really frequent communications to the city, but more and more we talk to the people and get their feedback. Thank you.
Chris, stick around. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in my council comments, okay?
Okay, I appreciate that.
We just had a whole, thank you. I was gonna say, we had a whole workshop on it, including a strategic master plan, and in my council comments, I'll be able to invite everybody tomorrow morning for coffee with the mayor, and you can learn more about it, but I'm sure Scott will touch up on it a little bit more as well. Let's see, who's this person? Kristen Johansson? Never seen her before.
He's got a temporary reprieve from baseball tour.
Good
Yeah,
evening, gentlemen. Kristen Johansson,
Evening.
6611 Maryvale Lane. I'm here representing the Chamber of Commerce this evening, and I know that there's going to be an update a little bit later, so I won't go into any of our details of what's coming up. But I did not want to skip the opportunity to thank you all so much for your support and participation in the Youth Civic Leadership Experience, which finished about 2 weeks ago. It was our 6th iteration of this event, and it's just become stronger every year. And the Port Orange staff has been remarkably supportive, and they are on our committee. You all host us for at least one of those days this week. We ran a mock city council meeting this year, of which Robin Fenwick was a huge part of. So our economic development is always run by Penny Cruz, and many, many members of your staff are on our volunteer committee. So I just want to thank you all for your continued support, and keep sending people our way. The students had a great time. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
And somebody else that we've never heard of before, Mr. Alan Green, is it? Is that how you say it?
He's on a work release program.
That figures. Come on up, Alan.
Here's some stuff, just pass it
Yeah.
real quick.
You bet.
Just, if you pick up, two things happen. Number one, Frank Flagg. If any of you knew Frank Flagg and the contribution he's made to this community, he grew up here. If you know Frank, he was here for a while. He was a successful contractor. You see what he did when I went and got him, he was retired. When we were going through the storm 14 years ago. We got Ludovici tile on these things. He knew it. I went and got him. And he asked me how long is it going to take. I said, Frank, it'll take you 6 to 8 weeks. He's been there 13 years and he passed away. But he was phenomenal. If you just check with what you got in results, and you're going to go there tomorrow if y'all go to the gym, to see the difficulty it took to complete that project. I talked to him recently. If you knew Frank very well, he never had a pair of used white sneakers. They were always perfect. That's all you had to know about it. But if you talk to your building department, he's the best. He made their job easier. He's also was not, he didn't like good. It had to be better than good. It had to be by the documents. I would like to I don't like buildings named after people, although I ended up getting one, and I took my name off of that building. If you look over there, Palmer gives us a substantial amount of money. It's got Palmer on it. Still has my name. I think that's wrong. But I would like some recognition that the effort he put into that gym and that recreational facility. It was a major mess. Between the damages, the contractors, subcontractors, to be able to maintain the quality standards that's required. He also goes beyond that in assisting the building department. And when y'all want numbers, he runs numbers on budgets, so he knows what you're getting. He's not the easiest guy to get along with because he believes in perfection. I would like there's some recognition in that facility that recognizes the effort that he put in. If you go through the roof failure, the floor failure, all the things that occurred, you ended up in litigation, you end up with the insurance companies coming in. He not just them, but the degree of work that you got out of it to make sure you get your warranties and guarantees, he was there. He served his community well. I grew up with him. He was one of those people that if I needed him to assist me building ballparks, he was there. He was one of those guys. He moved to the Ponce Inlet because he liked to fish, as you know. I don't like fishermen, but that's a different story. But he was involved in that community. He's involved. It goes beyond the four corners of Port Orange. He taught in the apprenticeship school for carpentry, and he was insistent. He served this community well. And I just want y'all to think about it. I'd like to have some recognition for his efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good to
Mayor.
see you.
Did I have any more?
No.
That was the last of that. Well, then, why don't we start council comments, because I know Scott's got something to say already.
Well, I was going to mention about Frank Flagg and the morning of that we did the ribbon cutting. I got to talk to him probably for a good 10 minutes, and the pride, I mean, you could just see the pride in his face about that facility and being part of that. And of course, I think him being, and I think it was a blessing that he also got to see that ribbon cutting, because what he saw is how much it meant to the community and all the families and the kids. And so I am glad that, while it's sad anytime somebody like this passes away, I hope that was something, as a memory for him that was way up there in the level of some of the best ones that he was a part of, because he certainly got to see something really cool. And kind of neat that he had that much of a partner role in that.
I
so.
think we were kind of blessed that he flunked retirement after retiring
Yeah, I
as a
know, right?
contractor, and was
Right,
flunked
yeah.
it completely and came to work for us.
Well, it is ironic because we wouldn't necessarily see Frank in here all the time, but every now and then we would see him at a facility or a ribbon cutting, and in my mind I would always be like, he's still working?
Yeah.
He's just
Yep.
one of those guys that just working was better than not. So,
Absolutely.
Anyway, we're gonna miss him for sure. Just to comment on the flooding concerns, thank you, Chris, for bringing those up there. I've been on this council now a little over 8 years. From day one, we've been dealing with that and talking with that, and the councils before us have been dealing with that and been talking with that. And Wayne and I have had some great conversations. We recently had a council workshop. Ironically, nobody showed up, and it was well publicized, and we put it out there, and we're dealing with HOAs, and we talk to people all the time, and they just didn't come. But that being said, I can assure you that we have been using social media. We as the elected body get those calls. We talk to HOA representatives all the time, and we try to also let them know what some of the realities are. And some of the realities are is that a lot of the neighborhoods that have seen, well, first of all, last year's event, there's nobody alive in the city of Port Orange that has ever seen that much rain in that period of time. And hopefully we will never ever see that. That being said, we still do see and have seen flooding events, in the past many decades. A couple of things to keep in mind is that we live in a very subtropical to tropical climate. Weather patterns are changing all the time. More and more rain, more and more changes. Clearly you go down to our beach and see the challenges down there. And the one thing that, all of the cities in Volusia County are doing is trying to mitigate flood issues. They really are. And one impacts the other. And one of the things that we're battling with, that we've been talking about a lot, is when we have these events, at the end of the rainfall, at the end of all the water coming down, it all has to go out Ponce Inlet, which means those areas that are north of us that are mitigating their flood to be able to pump waters out of their cities faster are pumping it this way. The river rises faster and overflows its banks quicker than I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm 53 years old. I was born and raised here. I've seen however many storms. I think Hurricane David, 1979, was probably my first one that I can recall, but I've never seen river banks overflow so easily and so quickly now, and sometimes they overflow onto Halifax Drive when there's not even a storm. It's just moon phases, tidal phases, sea level rise, whatever. You look at the beach, there's so much less beach than there used to be, and when the waters are pushing inward and they are coming into the river and they are forcing the banks to overflow, you have to have somewhere to put the water, and you can't put water into something that's already overflowing back on. So there are a great many challenges. The other thing that we've seen and we've been talking about a lot is a lot of the neighborhoods that really experience the brunt of this are communities and areas that were built 50 years ago. They were built to a totally different set of standards. Elevations were different back then. Kind of for lack of a better word, and Wayne, feel free to chime in, but for lack of a better description, some of the neighborhoods, as I've kind of learned, it's designed during those major impacts for the streets to actually flood. The streets are part of the retention plan to hold that water for a short amount of time, obviously, with the idea of just don't let it get into the homes. Well, a lot of these older neighborhoods that once had active homeowners associations that would maintain their common areas, maintain their common drainage ditches, maintain their retention ponds, they've decided over the decades to just let the HOAs fall apart. And so now nobody is maintaining them. We're dealing with one, Sugar Forest, that is a huge challenge for us because it hasn't been maintained in over 2 decades. But we don't own it. The taxpayers don't own it. It's not public land, it's private. And that lack of maintenance now is impacting other neighborhoods that border that particular subdivision, and that's not fair. That's not fair. Again, since I've been on city council, every year we try to go to Tallahassee to get money out of Tallahassee. It's almost always for flood mitigation projects. And we've been really successful in the 8 years. And I'm not saying that just because I'm sitting up here. I'm just saying collectively as our city staff, our elected body, our community partners, we go to Tallahassee constantly. We got some great news that I'll let the city manager share about some dollars that the governor approved this year. We got one project got vetoed, but we got some really good money this year, an unusually good amount for us, for a city our size, that we will be continuing to put towards specific flood mitigation efforts. I hear what you're saying, Chris. We tell the story, we talk about it all the time at council meetings, we have workshops, our PIO puts stuff out, hurricane season is upon us, storms are coming. I get that we have a lot of folks who moved to Florida, haven't gone through this enough times to know that when we get it wrong, when the storm is just right, especially when it comes across the West Coast and it slows down, it dumps a ton of rain, we're gonna have major stuff. Could there be things, from the city's perspective over the decades that maybe could have been done differently? Well, of course, we always learn. I mean, this is an ever learning thing for all of us. But we are absolutely trying, and we're committed to keep doing that. And it's a long process. It's an incredibly expensive process. These projects sometimes take years to design and acquire the dollars, because you got to get the money. We're not like the federal government. I was having a conversation with a resident the other day, and I said, the one thing is that we see the federal government all the time. What do? They just print more money. Well, it just doesn't work that way for municipal and county governments. We don't have the ability to do that. We have to acquire that money through our tax base, through grant dollars, through the state, through the federal government. And so I encourage people who want to know more to communicate with us, listen to our meetings. We talk about this stuff regularly. Robin Fenwick is dealing with a lot of a lot of these issues, taking them head on. She's got plans with neighborhoods, with small meetings that she's having, so those folks can come out, and you'll be surprised. I think you just had one, right, Robin, recently, or have one coming up.
Another
maybe?
one coming up next Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're working in conjunctions with these neighborhoods, and when we can with HOAs, and I wish the HOAs would stay together, and when some of these HOAs fall apart, that the residents would get together and get them back in gear so that they can take care of these common areas and be part of the solution. So anyway, great comments. They're always welcome, Chris. I appreciate those, and we'll keep working towards that and doing that. Wayne, can you give us, there was an email, if you can touch base, or have somebody touch base and just bring us up to speed on the Nova Road and Miles project plan?
I asked Tim Berman, our Community Development Director, to come do that.
For those that don't know, and Tim's going to talk about it, this is a particular area on Nova Road and Miles intersection, where we've had some really bad motor vehicle crashes. Some have been fatal, and there's been some interest in redesign and different ideas kicked around. If you could just bring us up to date, Tim.
Yeah, Tim Berman, Community Development. Back in, I think it was early 2022, there was a public meeting held about that intersection improvements. Based off the feedback from that meeting, FDOT went back and evaluated and came back, and a traffic signal warrant study was done, and a traffic signal was warranted at that intersection. Based off the latest time frame that DOT has given us, they anticipate design of that turn signal, or that traffic light, along with the improvements, sometime in probably late 2023. Then they've indicated that after design starts, it's going to be 1.5 to 2 years from that time for construction to begin. Again, always dependent on funding. So if it goes on that timeline, late 2023 it starts, we could probably see construction, 2 years in late 2025 then.
Okay.
We'll continue to work with FDOT and updates. I know our staff has been contacted by them and try to provide as much information as possible, so we can do anything in our power to help that move along a little bit quicker than the time frames they've given to us. But we'll continue to work with them and continue to update you guys on the time frame.
So as it is now, the design is going to actually be for a full service intersection.
Correct.
And best guess would be 2025, 2026-ish before we see it done.
For construction start.
As it is now.
Yes.
Okay. Have they released a full well, I guess not. You just answered that question, but
I think they just showed the basic concept plans then. They're still working on design. I know that some of the input was also to incorporate for pedestrian safety going across the intersection too then, but they have not provided us any type of concept plans yet to put out there in social media then.
I would ask, and for those that don't know, this is a state roadway, so this is a state project, and we can provide some input, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to listen to us. But as the design comes to light, I have a concern. This is a curved road. It's in a curve. So intersections on nice 90-degree straight roads, I get it. But my concern is not only the curvature and line of sight, but at night, this area is not very well lit. There's some ambient lighting, and I would really try to ask our staff that when we're in contact with the state, that we focus a lot on the lighting aspect of it, because I think at night, being that it's going to be an intersection in a curved portion of Nova Road, that's going to be really important, because keeping in mind, when your car is in a curve, your headlights are not necessarily shining where you're going. And so there's a lot of pedestrian crossing, your neighborhoods and friends and kids on bikes and all that kind of stuff. And early morning crossings, kids going over to the high school that want to ride their bikes across Nova and things like that. And I saw that there will be some designated pedestrian stuff in the plan.
Right. And our preliminary discussions with them, they've indicated that we'll be part of the design on that one then too. So
well, I'm glad to see that they've committed to a plan and a project and they're going to move it forward. I just really want us, whatever we can do to help influence the importance of line of sight and lighting specifically at night in that area would be great.
Will do.
That's all I got tonight.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it.
I don't
You're
have anything
done?
else. That's it. for
Are
tonight.
you sure? Okay, you're done. Reed?
My goodness. Scott touched on a couple of things I was going to touch on, so I'm not sure how much time I need to take here.
None.
But I live in the neighborhood adjacent to Woodhaven. Why did it?
You don't live near Woodhaven.
No, where did that come from? Anyway, Miles
Or
Drive
some
there,
trees.
Sleepy Hollow, and so, I drive through that intersection all the time, and I was at the FDOT meeting. There's a lot of residents who are really, really happy, many of which I forwarded that email to let them know what's being planned. But the communities around there really seem to want that, and I totally see why. There's not a day I go by through that intersection on my way that I don't see kids just driving across, because you have Parkwood there and they come across to go to Winn-Dixie, and then you have our neighborhoods where they like to go through and go across to go to the high school. So it's something that I agree with Scott. Like I said, we're not in control of it, but certainly all the advice we can give. Specifically, you talked about something I hadn't thought about, Scott, with the curvature of the road. Coming northbound, because that's where the road turns there to go north. If you're northbound on it, it is pretty straight. It's the southbound side that's not, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me if it wouldn't be a good idea to put one of those flashing signs to let people know that there's a red light ahead when it's on, and it'll time up with the light. I've seen them used all over our state. I've seen them all over the country, and they're great. If there's a kind of a blind corner leading up to a red light, it can alert you if the light's red before you even get there, and those are always good things to include in there. I want to extend my sincere condolences to Frank Flagg's family. Obviously a great asset for the city. I'll let Wayne talk about the Tallahassee thing, since Scott did the same thing. I had that down, but we'll check that off so you have a comment tonight during a city manager tonight, right? You got one? Okay, just making sure. Saturday was the mayor's tournament, and I know that it did not go the way the mayor planned. We ended up with a lot of rain, but I specifically wanted to take time to address a couple of things. Don said it best in his comments, was thank you. Thank you to all of the participants, because the money's for a good cause. It's nice to go play around the golf, and Cypress Head did the right thing. I, in my opinion, went above and beyond, gave everyone who was there who got to play 4 or 5 holes a free round of golf to come back at their convenience. So they tried to do the best they could and do the right thing. And then on top of that, we're there for charity. We're there for a good cause. We're there to help kids who want to play rec sports. That's what it's about. So, I thought it was awesome. The course was in great condition. My golf game was not, but I still had fun. I also want to make sure I say thank you to Parks and Rec staff. Susan and Peter and everyone that works with y'all. Susan, I know you're I can't see in, but I know you're over there.
She's in her normal spot, so you can't see her.
Right. I made a point to go around to each one of them and thank them afterwards because they handled it so well. You know, they kept the morale up. They still found a way to give out prizes and make people have fun and,
Alexis was great.
make the most of a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to applaud our staff that was over there working that day. It's just awesome to see you guys spring together. When things don't go right is often when it's the most difficult. And I thought that the whole attitude and demeanor and approach and the way you guys handled it was awesome. So I just want to give my kudos to y'all.
You good?
I'm good.
Good. Drew, what you got?
Well, everything's pretty much been mentioned.
Excellent
And so, well, there is one tiny thing I saw in my travels a few days ago. A few weeks back, we'd mentioned about the Nova Canal and the cleaning and the overgrowth and the dead trees and limbs from the hurricane. And FDOT has started in South Daytona. So hopefully they can make their way through the canal all the way through our city and clean it up as best as possible to kind of help with the flow. So it is a work in progress.
As it is. Is that it?
That's it.
And that was the best report tonight. Well done. Tracy, what you got?
So everybody has already touched on a lot of the bases that we're talking about already, dealing with the flooding and some of the concerns that citizens have, which is very valid. Some of the things that we can do to try to help out is when you see the lawn guy and other people are going along blowing the grass cuttings, blow it back into your grass, please. Not down the drains, not down the stormwater drains, everything that gets clogged up. You know, these are minor details that people just leave out, and the next thing we know, we have flooding, and we're trying to clean all these things out. The next one is actually for the citizens, and I think it's an underrated thing that on the website is the Click It and Fix It website of City of Port Orange. I had 2 phone calls this past week, one dealing with a stormwater drain, the actual intrusion to it being busted down, and one actually being filled full of debris. Well, these are the reasons for Click It and Fix It. I mean, you can literally go online, you see it. If you're out walking and bicycling, take a snapshot of it, go to the website on your phone. These are things to help the city. Even though we have a lot of manpower out there, they can't cover and find everything. So it helps with the citizens helping us to be able to find these things and point it out to us. If not, it gets missed. And that's my 2 cents for today.
Just because we have 4,000 storm drains doesn't necessarily mean we see everything when we want to see
That's
it. Yep, very good. We did have that workshop, and anybody that wants to review that workshop that we had in regards to our stormwater master plan, I think our public works team and our utility, Wayne, the whole team that you put together, working on that, our new updated stormwater master plan, I think did a terrific job. You can view that. You can go to YouTube and watch the video again and see the workshop, or you can come have coffee with the mayor tomorrow morning. Cheap plug, I know. Tomorrow morning at 10:30, or we'll do it again in the evening at 6 o'clock at the rec. It's coffee with the mayor. So tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. We actually have this some things to review, including that stormwater master plan. We've got some nice visuals that staff has put together, so you can see what we have in the works with the updated master plan. We were working off a very old master plan. Many of those components have been worked through or outdated, and unfortunately we do learn the hard way sometimes about what works and what doesn't. And we've got a new plan, and you can learn more about that at Coffee with the Mayor. But of course, you can come talk, listen to me talk for a little while, and absolutely whatever it is you all have to say, come visit us. We'll be able to talk just about anything that's on your mind. Scott, thank you for touching on Frank Flagg. It is amazing the number of people that find second careers after retirement and find ways to give back, and he certainly did. That was great to be able to honor him. He did not wish to have a service or a memorial, or and in doing so, usually it's our tradition to read the loss of somebody's obituary into the record, and we don't even have that, but to just be able to talk and celebrate their life and the good times, and Alan Green being here to talk about them a little bit, that we're very appreciative of that. The legislative appropriations, I am grateful that 2 of the 3 appropriations that we had in the original budget got signed off on. The Ridgewood Avenue and North Commonwealth water main replacement was a $1 million appropriation from the state that will help with that project. The sewer force main river crossing is a $2.5 million appropriation towards a $10 million project. That redundancy is important when it comes to making sure that we're able to execute our utilities and avoid stormwater infiltration and have our utilities there for us when we need them most. Those are both 2 vital projects. But I also want to say, while I'll touch on the stormwater master plan tomorrow, if you go back and view the workshop, you'll see that nothing is going to happen overnight. What we have and will continue to work on is the better execution of the day-to-day upkeep of the system. That's what we can do right now. What was good will make better, what was bad will make good. We've been working on that, and the team in Public Works has really been working hard on that. We will get you another update. A lot of people come back and ask, well, what about that dam that broke in Cambridge Canal? Well, it was a stormwater retention wall. When you say dam, it makes people think of things that are much bigger. But there were things that we learned from that break where we're going to go back, and we have a temporary fix in place where we're going to actually go back and make it better than it was before, so that not only to fix the failure, but to make it execute better in the future. So those are things that it isn't put it back where it was, but let's find a way to make it better. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking forward to. With that, I will have more comments at breakfast tomorrow, so come join me. Board appointments, interviews, and reports. Citizen Advisory Committee for the TPO, Mr. Bobby Ball. What you got for us, Bobby?
Bobby Ball with CSC for the TPO. Quick update. We had our monthly meeting. It was pretty quick and easy. It's typical updates about, with the 5-year TIP program, so nothing to really report there. I did ask about the I-95 interchange and looking for the latest and greatest report from the DOT, so when I have that, I'll share it with you. We did cancel July's meeting, so you won't see me in July unless I'm here anyway. And other than that, I don't have anything unless you've got something for me.
Anything for Bobby? We like that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Excellent report. Item 11, Environmental Advisory Board appointments. We have 4 openings. We have 2 people on the board that have reapplied. We have 1 applicant. John Macaluso and Christine Cunningham have both served honorably and want to be reappointed. We have an application from Angelina Rossi. We will have 1 more opening, so if, even after we take action, depending on what we do tonight, we'll have at least 1 more opening. So if there is an interest out there in anybody serving on any of our advisory boards, we've got a couple of people who do in the audience, not just that one, but our citizen advisory boards are vital to this city, and we value what they do for us. So let's keep that in mind. If there's anybody out there who would like to apply, just you can go online or inquire in the clerk's office. With that, the applicants that are here, we'd love to hear from you before we place your names in nomination. Christine, we haven't heard from you tonight much.
I sat there very quietly for a very long time. That's very unlike me.
So why would you like to be rehired?
Rehired implies I get paid. I would like to be appointed again because the interest in the environment is growing. We're a stronger board with a lot of people with different talents and different backgrounds. And I think that unless we get the people involved, we're not going to be able to filter everything that the city needs unless we have people around that are going to share what is going on in their own neighborhoods and their influences on how they can help our city grow and become more focused on preventing any other types of flooding issues and or environmental issues that we can make sure we are in control of instead of the wildfires and the flooding controlling us.
Okay. We appreciate your willingness to serve. Council, do you have any questions?
Do not. She served the board well.
Thank you.
Looks like we let you off easy.
Thank you. Let me on easy.
John Macaluso is here. John.
Good evening, everyone. Never give an old politician the microphone.
Come on, go ahead.
You know that. John Macaluso. This is my third appointment to the EAB. It's been very interesting. Chris and I work well together, along with the rest of the members, and I echo her sentiments regarding the environment and what we're heading towards in the future here in Port Orange, along with the county. Just an FYI, in April I was appointed to both Volusia Forever and Volusia Echo by County Council. So I have a broader understanding of everything that's going on around here. Any questions?
We're glad that you can do that and then bring that back to us.
Absolutely.
So I was going to make a comment when Christine was up here, but I figured I'd do it after you. And I know we're going to talk about a third candidate here, but I will say that you and Christine do work very well together.
Appreciate
and
that.
I have been very pleased to see the EAB do some things that haven't been done in past years.
Yep.
And I applaud you both for what you do and the time and the effort. You both, for those that don't know, this isn't their only service to the community, and they're both heavily involved in serving Port Orange and the county in a lot of ways. And community service can be contagious, and it can be a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. And so we truly do appreciate that. And I was actually just kind of thinking that a minute ago. I'm like, those two you guys really serve well together. I know there's other people involved, but you guys are thinking outside the box. And I kind of feel like, you know, since you guys have been on the board and over the last couple of years, specifically my first term on the council, I almost kind of felt like there wasn't really a connection between the EAB and the council, and maybe we weren't giving them direction and a vision and things like that. And you guys have been extremely beneficial in opening that door and us being able to have those conversations and meet and talk about things. And so again, just to thank you for
No, I appreciate
for
that,
your willingness
and
to continue serving.
Christine is dedicated to what she believes in, brings those ideas. And like I said, I'm an old politician, so I'm going to come after you.
Right on. We love it.
Thanks for the and I encourage anyone out there to get involved in any of the boards or committees they can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Council, anything else for him? Nope. We let you off easy too. Is Angelina Rossi present?
I think she was, and I think she left.
Rita, that's somebody you know, isn't it?
That is somebody I know. She's not present. I reached out to her today, but I did not hear back from her.
You vouch for her though?
Oh, well, that's a dangerous one. That can go really bad for a long time.
Yeah.
I do know her. She's a great person. I know she cares about this, and she's assured me she wants to do it. We last discussed this probably less than a month ago.
Okay.
I don't want to go as far as to put my neck on the block for anybody, but because I wouldn't even do that for myself sometimes. But
We know.
but I do know that she's done nothing but expressed interest to me. So.
That's good.
And we do have a vacancy, so I don't see how we could go wrong by giving everyone a shot here.
Well, and she'll have a couple of good mentors to work with.
Absolutely.
Well, if I recall, I don't think this is the first time we've seen her name. I think she tried for another board that she didn't get. So for her to come back, she clearly wants to serve. So yeah.
Absolutely. With that, nominations for the positions are now open. I'm accepting nominations.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we reappoint John Macaluso, Christina Cunningham, and appoint for her first term Angelina Rossi to the Environmental Advisory Board.
I will happily second that.
We have the nominations of Angelina Rossi, John Macaluso, and Christine Cunningham. Are there any other nominations? With that, did you make the nomination as a slate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That way we only have to vote on collectively instead of individually, one vote instead of
About
three.
that. There you go.
Okay. With that, nominations are closed. We have those three names in nomination. Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. You've been rehired. You must love our pay and benefits for volunteering.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, appreciate you. With that, item 12, public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. Item 12 is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-04. Come on, there we go. Ooh, oh boy. Ordinance number 2023-04 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 58, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances relating to special events, amending Section 58-1 to make minor changes to the definition of major special events, amending Section 58-53 to allow for special events sales associated with legal holidays and seasonal events, and to provide an increase in the amount of days for a special event within the Riverwalk and Down Under entertainment districts, regardless of parcel size. Amending Section 58-56 to remove the bond requirements for major special events, providing for codification, providing for repeal of the conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. Anybody want a
Move
motion
to
to approve that?
approve. I was just trying to digest it all. Move to approve ordinance 2023-04.
Second.
We have a motion and proper second for approval. The item is now open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do you have for us?
Penelope Cruz, Planning. So the amendment before you tonight is primarily intended to improve and streamline the process, the review process and approval process for special events, while supporting the redevelopment efforts of the city, but without changing the requirements that are required for these special events. There's 4 items in it. The long title block pretty much summarizes it generally, but I'm here to answer any questions you have. There was a summary of each of these 4 items on the agenda item, but I'm here to answer any questions you may have about that.
Council, questions? I see and hear none. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, I think we let Penny off kind of easy there. Back to us, final comments or questions?
I think this one makes complete sense. I mean, this is
Yeah, this is,
gonna,
seems pretty cut and dry.
gonna improve the process.
My only comment is that I love this direction. I would search for a little bit more. Any like I said, anytime something's come before us that I think is good for businesses, especially local businesses, I'm all for going further with that. And I appreciate the efforts that were done here. I appreciate what you guys have done, and it makes a lot of sense across the board. I just think that there are some businesses that won't benefit from this as much as others, and I'd like to see us look for those opportunities to give them the same benefits. Anything that's good for our business community is good for Port Orange as far as I'm concerned.
Anything else? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. First reading is affirmed. Item 13, first reading of ordinance number 2023-05. Ordinance 2023-05, this one's a little easier on me, I see. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Fourth Amendment to the Woodhaven Plan Unit Development Master Redevelopment Agreement, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2023-5.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do you have before us?
Penelope Cruz, Planning. So this is the 4th Amendment to the Woodhaven Master Development Agreement and includes 2 items. The first item is regarding a front setback for uninhabitable improvements such as porches. The original MDA for Woodhaven sets a 20-foot front setback for the structure. That includes a front porch as well. What they have found is that some of the residents are liking some of the different models, Craftsman style, and some of the other models that they have that have these more decorative front porches, but these models aren't fitting on these lots in this area here. And so in order to provide that additional architectural relief and different styles, they would like to provide a 15-foot setback for just these uninhabitable type of things like porches, but the rest of the main house and the garage would still have to meet the 20-foot setback, which means that you would still have the full required length for your driveway and everything like that. It's just to provide these additional architectural enhancements to some of the models. The second item is regarding fencing. There is already some fence restrictions in their MDA, but the applicant would like to further restrict the types of fencing in the MDA to the specific detail that the developer would like to have, specific height, and also a restriction to ensure that it's not located within a 5-foot rear setback in the rear for irrigation. So those are the two items in this Fourth Amendment. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. The applicant's also here.
Okay. Does the applicant want to add to what the staff presented?
Not necessarily.
So you're not going to talk us out of it.
First of all, Dick, tell us who you are.
Dick Smith, ICI Homes, Vice President of Land Development.
So you want to get ready for the grilling right now, or try to talk us out of it?
I'll try and talk you out of it. How's that?
Okay. Council, questions for staff or the developer? Seeing none. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? No public comments. Back to us. Final comments or questions, council?
Just a comment from me that you know, this is not a decision that impacts density, increases density. From what I see, it doesn't impact anything to do with the service that the city provides, utilities, anything like that. And if this is something, I mean, the developers know their business. So if this is something that they think that the future residents of Port Orange who want to live in that community will benefit from and enjoy, and they like that design, then I'm okay with that.
They're the ones that have to make
That's
the choice
right.
to buy.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And if for some reason I'm sure they find out that they won't, they probably won't do a whole lot of them. But if they like them, then they will. So
This is basically taking away 5 foot of the front yard and giving them 5 feet in the backyard.
Yeah.
In simple terms, and so who am I to decide? They know their business model. They know what people want to buy. They're out there talking to future home buyers probably every day. So I'm not here to tell you how to run your business.
My first concern looking at it was, I'm like, oh, what are we doing to the driveway? And then I realized we were not shortening the driveway. It's already a tight fit as it is.
That was the big concern for me, was the driveways first, making sure we don't turn in another subdivision like we've had a few, dealing with everybody having to park in the streets because the driveways weren't big enough. But looking at it, it stayed the same, and adding the 5 feet and changing the 5 feet still made the plot line still the same for water drainage. And that was my biggest concern, already dealing with flooding. Let's not cover up more land and then end up having another issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it's giving them the ability to have a covered front entryway if they would like one.
Sure.
Correct.
Any other comments? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. First reading is sustained. Brings us to item 14. Item 14 is ordinance number 2023-06. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment to the amended and restated Master Development Agreement for Southwind Center Planned Commercial Development, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2023-06.
Second.
The item is open and on the floor for discussion with a proper motion and second. Wayne, who have you got before us again?
Penelope Cruz Planning. So this item is regarding the Southwinds PCD, particularly Lot 2. This property, if you can see here, is in blue. This amendment is just regarding Lot 2 of the PCD. The applicant recently contacted staff about a potential tenant for a high-end beauty salon that was interested in going into one of the vacant tenant spaces. And just as they were surprised, staff was surprised to see that in their master development agreement, although a whole variety of community commercial uses are listed, personal services are not, and which is what beauty salons fall under. So we discussed that. The applicant chose to amend the MDA to allow the typical uses that are allowed under community commercial zoning, with the exception, there's a few uses pulled out that just don't make sense on that property. So those are exempted out as not being permitted, and would like to be able to move forward with the typical community commercial uses that are found in most of these multi-tenant shopping centers. So with that, here to answer any questions you have, and the representative of the applicant is here as well.
Questions, council of staff or the applicant? I just want to make a comment that if we didn't have a PCD in place, that this would be a usage that would be just fine under normal city
Correct.
zoning.
The zoning that would go onto this type of a property would be community commercial, so it would be allowed.
Okay. Council comments or questions?
No, this one.
There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item? No public comments. Back to council. Final comments or questions?
No brainer.
Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. That brings us to the items 15, the approval of the development order for modification for the final plat for Phase 2 of the Woodhaven subdivision. The recommended motion is to move to approve the development order modification for the final plat of Phase 2 of the Woodhaven subdivision and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said plat for recording. Can I have such said motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
You weren't going to repeat that? You're off the hook.
Meeting's going long enough as it is.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Who do we have here, Wayne?
You don't know me by now. Penelope Cruz Planning.
I am following the city charter. I am going through the city manager.
I had to at some point. It's my last item tonight.
Yeah, there will be no item 16 for you.
So the plat and plans for Phase 2 of Woodhaven was approved by the City Council in March 2022. They're almost done. All of the roadways and utilities have been constructed. All the grading for the lots and the drainage have been completed. The developer is currently working on some final installation of signage, some sidewalks and landscaping, and we hope to be out there pretty soon for a final inspection of Phase 2. As they began to prepare building permits for homes, there was a discrepancy that was caught on one of the plat notes, and so this is really just a house cleaning item to correct a plat note to make sure it is consistent with the master development agreement setbacks. So it's really just a house cleaning item, but we're required to go back through the normal approval process to address it. Mm-hmm.
This is the area where we're actually seeing a reduction in density, right?
Yes, they actually, there was the original approval came back for modification to reduce the number of homes by 54 homes. Right. Mm-hmm, correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council comments or questions? Drew, did you have anything?
I was just
do not, Mayor.
Reed?
could you pull that slide back up there
Yes,
real
I'm
quick?
sorry.
I was just confused on that slide because I understood what we were doing based on what we had in our summary, but I noticed here that the original plat note 30, it says 20 foot here on the second line, and then it's in bolded here at the bottom 30.1 again still says 20 feet. So, but then I see where 35 or 25 feet and 30.2 was changed to 30 foot on. So is that information, are we sure we have that correct now?
Yes, it's correct. So one of them got removed. Some of the lot numbers are different on there.
Okay.
There were some lots that were listed with a 25-foot rear setback, which was not consistent with the MDA and actually not consistent with the easement that was on the lot. So those got shifted and moved around. There's now only two, and they reference the correct lot numbers.
All right, just wanted to make sure, like I said.
We have triple checked it.
I trust you just because of the way that it read there at first. I want to make sure we have it right.
Any other comments or questions for staff or the developer? He's not going to try to come up here and talk us out of it. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? Hearing no public comments, back to us. Council, final comments or questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Motion passes. That closes the public hearing portion of the meeting. On to regular agenda, first reading of ordinance number 2023-07, which is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 54, Article 4, Fire and Rescue Pension Fund by amending Section 54-77, definitions, amending Section 54-104, benefits and contribution from members hired on or after December 4th, 2012, providing for repeal of conflicting resolutions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance 2023-07.
Second.
Motion and a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, what have you got for us? My understanding is that we're making sure that our code falls into how we practice it now. This is no significant changes in the way we do things.
So, you mind if I take this?
Yeah, either that or we could have Penelope Cruz planning come back up if you have.
Penny, you want this?
Needs a few more frequent flyer miles here.
Yeah, so,
What you got, Matt?
So yeah, this one is a change to your ordinance that has been already agreed to really via MOU with the fire in the last round of negotiation. The reason it takes a little bit of time, so you approved the MOU back probably in like February, March. The reason it takes some time is there has to be an impact statement completed by the actuary that's been brought back to the city. This has been noticed to the state. This is just carrying forward those amendments to actually the codification in your code.
Okay. Council comments or questions?
I just want to point out that I'd mentioned to you after the last fire pension meeting that it was important to me that this ordinance went into effect based on when we agreed to it, and that language is in here, that it will be effective as of February 7th, 2023. That was a concern of theirs and a concern of mine based on some happenings. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware that it is effective as when we did agree to it.
Very good. Anyone else? Would anyone here care to speak to the item? Hearing no public comments, back to council. Final comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Additional items, item 17. Mr. City Attorney, do you have a report tonight before we review you?
I'm gonna pass.
That's probably smart because that might impact your review. Who knows? Council, City Attorney, annual evaluation. Have all five of us? Have you had an opportunity to have individual discussions with the City Attorney?
Yes.
Yes.
I am hearing and seeing a bunch of heads nod. I have seen nobody indicate that they have not. Matt, you've had an opportunity to have conversations with all of us?
Yes, sir.
Whether it be at one time or ongoing, wherever that might be. With that, I'm going to start with Reed. Comments on the City Attorney review?
Again, similar to with the city manager, I've made my comments with Matt. I've talked to him. I think he's done a great job again this year across the board. I know that it's a challenging job that he has, but I appreciate all his hard work, the way he's worked with his staff, and some of the adjustments he's made. I think have been pretty efficient, and we've seen good results from that. And so he gets an A in my book.
Okay. Well, you've had an awful lot of experience with him, but in your short period of time.
Yeah, Mr. Jones is, how would you put it? Taught me a few lessons of how to bite tongue, keep fuses in control, so I'm not asking for forgiveness and getting permission first. Having him on council is a great thing. He's very humbling and, how would you put it politely, keeping me on task without getting us in trouble. in the short period of times and a few times that we've had meetings, it's been a delight. And being in my business, I deal with quite a few attorneys, and it would be nice to have him on my council on my business side because of his humbleness. So
He's got a job.
and I know he's done a great job for me, and I think he's superb for the city.
Scott?
Who are we talking about?
Yeah, no.
No, yeah, Matt and I had a great conversation. The biggest thing for me with the legal side for us up here is the communication, and Matt is very good at that. He reaches out frequently. He breaks things down to where we can understand them without having to have a law degree. I think that the decisions he encourages us to make are always in the best interest of our city and the taxpayers. One of the things I talked to Matt that I really truly appreciate is the relationship that he has with the city manager. I think the one thing that we have seen over the years is how critically important it is for our legal department to be able to work effectively with the other side of the city. And I know, having spoke with Wayne feels good about that relationship. I know Matt feels likewise, and I have seen the benefits of that, of us having a city attorney and a city manager who can come together, especially on some of our biggest projects and needs, and work very well, and the staffs work well together as well. So I'm appreciative for that too. I mean, I know there's always room for improvement, right? And there always will be, and sometimes two different teams won't always see eye to eye, but they work through things like that, and they work well to get it done.
Drew, what you got?
Matt is an excellent city attorney, well-rounded in every aspect of the job that I see and deal with on a regular basis. I feel he's an excellent asset and a very valuable asset to the city, and we are lucky to have him on our legal team.
That's pretty succinct.
Yep.
I have very similar sentiments. I've also challenged Matt to, we never want to stagnate. We have need systems of continuous improvement, and the city attorney's office is customer service for the rest of the departments in the city. And this city is about customer service for the people that live here, first and foremost. So particularly, and I've added to that challenge, our procurement process has not been the best, and that's years in the making, and it's going to take a large team effort to continue to improve. And I've challenged Matt and his department to do their part to help us improve that system. You've got other large things coming your way, particularly with Riverwalk, as that is starting to come to fruition, and we'll be going before the Planning Commission and the like, and there will be a whole lot more for you to do there. Talk about a $200 million plus investment that will impact the city, making our job easier. And I think that this is always the thing that I have an issue with, is that Matt has to keep us straight, and yet he works for us. So it's like there are times where I've got to decide I need good legal advice, and I also need to decide when he and I have had our conversations about when I don't necessarily like the legal advice. So what are my options otherwise? So at the end of the day, just because he tells me something doesn't. I'm still in charge of making the decisions for the city with this council, and the five of us have to do that with the best information possible. And we may agree most of the time, sometimes not, because his job is to help me avoid risk, and sometimes risk is part of the game. So those are things that I appreciate the good hard work that you've done, and the relationship that we have. And I have seen if your communication style with me, if it's similar to my counterparts, I think it serves us and serves the city well. With that, the question is, council, do you want to give him a raise?
Absolutely.
I shouldn't have asked you first.
It was, well, you want me to continue?
Well, you chimed in. Go ahead.
Okay,
Drew. What
so
do you, what do you recommend?
I'll start. So here's what I'm thinking.
I got to figure out what to talk you back from.
We're currently paying them $148 and change, just under $149,000. The average city attorney pay in the area, including Daytona, which their city attorney makes over $261,000. So the average city
That's an
attorney
outlier.
pay in our immediate area is $207. If you remove Daytona's from that average, then the average pay is $180,843. And my suggestion is to, effective October 1st, bump Mr. Jones to $160,000, which is right at 7.5%. And that will put him closer to that ballpark, and then we'll consider another one next year with a positive evaluation, of course, and it gets him a little bit closer to where he deserves to be.
I'd actually make a second on that.
Is that well, that was a recommendation, or was that a motion?
It is a recommendation, and we'll hear everybody, and then we'll maybe go from there.
Okay. Scott, your thoughts?
I'll share Drew's shot. I'll echo his.
Okay. Reed?
I think we're getting above average city attorney service for below average pricing right now. So,
perfect.
while I want us to always remain fiscally responsible, I also want our people to be compensated fairly. And Matt is clearly way under the market based on the averages and the information that we had collected. So I'm definitely in favor of bumping him up.
Which means you support this year's raise and next year, last year.
I'm not saying
last year's raise. Right?
I'm not, yeah, right.
So-
Retroactive to last year.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Different budget.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, if somebody has another idea, I'll consider higher. That's what I came up with, just based, and I'd love to put him to the average this year, but that's a tough one, so I think we need to get him there maybe in 2 steps.
Tracy, your thought?
Yeah, I was looking at it as far as all the cities with the budgets that they had for their attorneys, and was kind of floored by the disparity difference between the two. Percentage definitely needs to be an increase. I am for an increase. It's trying to find that right number that's proper for the job that he's done, and the job that he's done has been great. So it is looking at a percentage that it doesn't tax burden the citizens, and maybe spacing it between a 1 and 2 year increase incrementals, so it's not a slap across the board.
I want to add, I appreciate the work that went into providing us with salary data. We didn't have that last year. We didn't have that this year for the city manager, except for what we hunted down ourselves. This is something we now, since I've been on council, have gone through the process.
We learn by doing.
I think it's an improvement because it makes these decisions a lot easier when you understand what you have out there. You can't compare your apple with other apples if you don't know what everyone else is holding.
So, Drew, you're recommending we bring him to 160 flat?
Yes, sir, that's my recommendation.
Well,
Would
then
you like that in a motion?
Well, I was just thinking that we go to 159.9 because then I just saved $100 for us.
No.
159.950?
160, Mayor.
Is that your? Would you
Yes,
like
sir.
to put it in the form of a motion?
All right, I would like to move that the effective October 1st, the city attorney's pay be brought up to $160,000. That effectively is about almost exactly a 7.5% raise, and it's an increase in yearly salary of $11,162, so it's less than $1,000 per month.
So we have a motion on the floor, effective the beginning of the new fiscal year, October 1st, to adjust the city attorney's wages to his base pay to 160 flat.
Yes, sir.
160,000 flat. May I have a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. The motion is on the floor. Comments, council?
Only thing was during our evaluation, you and I were discussing, we talked about retirement slightly, and you'd mentioned something to do with a match 3%. Did you tell me, and I made a mental note, but I should have made a written one. Did you tell me you have to put in 6% to get 3?
That's part of the city's 457 plan.
Right.
It's a 2-to-1 match,
Okay.
so capped at 3%. So
Understood.
6% gets you 3%.
All right, just want to make sure. I remember it coming in context, and I wanted to ask you about it, but I didn't get a chance, so.
It's a good plan. Any other comments or questions? Any public comments on what we're about to do? There being none, back to us. Final comments, council.
I just a comment that it was really interesting to see how many cities are not using an in-house legal
Yeah.
advisor. And I
Yeah.
just cannot imagine with the
yeah.
stuff that we see day in and day out, week after week after week, having to chase down a private firm, even though they're on retainer. I get all that, but you know, it's
Bureaucracy is incredibly slow at times. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine what that would be like. We're
No.
very grateful for what we have. Final comments? That it? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs, Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, did I hear your vote?
I didn't hear a vote from you.
Did you cast a vote?
I did not.
Okay. Are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining on this
Okay.
one.
Just want to make note for the
Wait,
record.
point of order.
Yeah, I hate
I
to.
think we're gonna get a legal advice.
Yeah, sorry. So I hate to say this on this one, but so unless there's a conflict, you have to enter a vote one way or the other on this one.
No.
Thank you. That was going to be kind of where I was going, who's required to vote.
Yeah.
So we have a vote to adjust the city attorney's wages starting October 1st. The new guy voted no. The motion passes 4-1. Any other business come before us from the city attorney?
Is
There
that,
being none?
Mayor, can I just make sure that vote's acceptable in that order, or does he absolutely need to go first? Just for point
No.
of order. We're good?
I'm fine with
All
that.
right, as long as I'm good with it, I just want to make sure everyone else is.
Unless anybody wants to change their vote to no based on what
I think we're
Mr.
getting a
Grubbs
signal
did.
that we're good.
We're good. Good question. City manager.
The one item you have on the agenda, the Florida League of Cities Annual Conference is being held August 10th through 12th and requires council to designate one member to vote at the annual business meeting. They typically do things like set leadership and hear resolutions. The mayor will be attending this conference, but we need council to select somebody as the voting delegation so that I can send that and let them know who is officially delegated.
Anybody else
Make a
going?
motion that we appoint the mayor of the city of Port Orange to be that person to fulfill that
Attending.
role.
I second that motion.
Nobody else from council's going to the conference?
Didn't say that. I said we appointed you to be that role.
We have a motion and a second to appoint me as the voting delegate for the city of Port Orange at the annual Florida League of Cities Conference. Comments, questions? There being none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign? Okay. Wayne, what else you got for us?
Since it wasn't my evaluation, I can talk for a while, but I do want to follow up one to appreciate what Councilman Stiltner said about working with the attorney. I do think that it makes the community much stronger. We work together extremely well. We have very complex items. I have also worked in 6 different local governments in my career, and only one didn't have an in-house attorney. And I would share council's appreciation for the fact that the deal and the value to the citizens of Port Orange is tremendous by having Matt as our in-house attorney. I think that it would be way harder to get where we're at without having somebody like that here. So I appreciate what you said. It goes a long way to keeping the team together as we go forward, dealing with complicated things like Bristol as we move forward. The legislative appropriations that got mentioned earlier, I did want to make sure that we think, because that's $3.5 million that we got from the state to assist with our utility projects here. Very important. That's $3.5 million that's shared throughout the entire state of Florida's tax base instead of ours. And former Councilmember Tremont, now Representative Tremont, sponsored the bills in the House side, supported by Chairman Leak, who is the Budget or Appropriations Chairman. Senator Wright supported him on his side. And I also want to thank our lobbyist, Sean Pittman. This year's legislative session was very unique from the past. In the past, we had gone up about week 3 to talk to people about our projects and explain them to the value and why it's a benefit to the state to support our projects. And our Sean basically called and said, it's not going to work that way this year. You need to get up here early. And I believe had we not been up there at the very beginning of the session, Robin, who did a lot of the legwork for this, and her first year in this role, brought home $3.5 million for us. And we went to, 10, 12 meetings, and Juno was with us as well, so our city engineer was up there, and we went all over the place talking to people doing that. And I think had it not been for Mr. Pittman's advice, we might have missed that opportunity. And I think that's probably why we ended up with $3.5 million from the state. So thanks to all of those people and the key staff members that made that happen. I think that goes a long way to helping us in the budget season. And then the last thing I wanted to go over, there's a whole bunch of conversations about stormwater and drainage today. Councilman Steltner and I have been talking about getting the message out better as well. I think the mayor mentioned the workshop in May where there was an extensive discussion of the 6 key projects in the stormwater master plan. In addition to that, we have what I'd like to refer to as our stormwater strike team, but we have a number of staff members who many of you have seen that when an HOA does call and when there are problems, they go out in the field to these neighborhoods and stand there and talk to them and walk around in the neighborhood so that they have those conversations with them. So obviously that takes a little bit of time because they have to do their job Monday through Friday, but they are scheduling these meetings. So we've gotten Deep Forest coming up, Sugar Forest, Portona. There's a number of neighborhoods that they're going out and visiting people in their backyards and in their front yards and talking about these processes going along. Part of what we're doing is working on public service announcements or videos so it's easier for people to get to. So not only is there a static image on social media, but there will also be videos. We're getting drone footage and we're going to show those 6 projects so that people understand what they are and how they will benefit them. And something else we want to do, because we do want to assure everybody that lives here that we do maintain the system that we have. So we have a large number of open ditches and we have a large number of pipe drainage systems. And one of the nice things that New Smyrna has done for everybody is that they paid a company to come in and talk to them about their drainage situations there. But as part of that, it helps understand the benchmarkings for what is a good stormwater maintenance system. And our stormwater maintenance is according to their analysis, beats the average. We are better than most at maintaining our drainage system and getting through maintenance once a year and doing regular updates on that. So we have big picture capital projects to fix bigger problems, regular ongoing maintenance, visits with people in the field, in addition to the item you saw tonight, that is the bringing in people who are experts at navigating the process of getting FEMA grants to help elevate the properties that we can elevate and demolish the others and remove the risk out of the flood zone. So there's quite a bit of activity going on, and Assistant Manager Fenwick that we talked about in bringing in money is also sort of the lead at gathering people. So if the citizens and the HOAs in the neighborhoods want somebody to come walk around and talk to them, that's who you call to coordinate, and she'll get that strike team out there in the neighborhood and they'll walk around and talk to you about it in person. And that's all I have.
Very good. With that, they go to council committee reports. First Step Shelter. I attended my First Step Shelter meeting last week. It was pretty enlightening looking at the statistics. We are on par with Ormond Beach and Holly Hill with the number of participants. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when First Step first opened, they didn't have the safe zone that's there. That is also something else that is available to us now and also helps us maintain Pottinger compliance. And with that, I wanted council to know, I've had a conversation with the city manager that I'd like us during budget discussions. I think we appropriate $35,000 a year. That number has not changed since we first came up with that appropriation number like 4 or 5 years ago. I'd like us to talk about bumping that up just a little bit, considering that the costs of things have not stayed the same the last 5 years, as we all know. And then, of course, the additional value that the First Step Shelter provides, not to mention the value it provides to the community as a whole, and it gives us a lot of reasons to support that. So I wanted to mention that as discussion points. Also, an interesting statistic that came my way, of those people that they put into housing 2 years ago are still in permanent housing. So it is a very high success rate, and you want to invest in programs that work. I would love to see us expand it and get it to maximum capacity. And I think that was the conversations that the board had last week. I was very happy to hear that. But 906 people sheltered, 192,000 meals served since December of 19. That's just the nuts and bolts of it. When we think about housing and the fact that it's working, I'm very pleased that the city supports it, and I look forward to our conversations when we get into budget talks about it a little bit further. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce, that is me, but I have the advantage of having a ringer in the audience tonight. The president of the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber is here.
Like royal.
Barbara Ann McHegan is going to bail me out and tell us what's going on in the chamber.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good evening, everyone. I would like to update you that this Friday we have a ribbon cutting, a grand reopening at our chamber annex, which is in the Daytona Beach Shores. It is 10 a.m. And it goes till noon, but a ribbon cutting is exactly at 10:30 with Mayor Nancy Miller. But this opportunity, you might be saying, well, why are you talking about Daytona Beach Shores here in Port Orange? But we're all in it together. Absolutely. We are bringing businesses, small businesses, that do not have a storefront, and they have offered to cover the office where it's a visitor information center, but also we're giving them the opportunity to showcase their business, meet with their clients, meet with their customers, and grow their customer base. And this is for all of our members throughout the Chamber of Commerce. So this is a nice partnership, and we hope to continue to see those small businesses grow through this opportunity. So I invite all of you to attend this reopening. We also would like to tell you that we have a golf tournament coming up for the Chamber on July 15th at the Cypress Head Golf Club. And it's an 8:30 start, and it's a 4-person scramble. But this is a great fundraiser for the Chamber to support our small business seminars and our small business marketing.
Excellent golf course seminar.
It is absolutely beautiful. And then we have a July morning mix and mingle that will be on July 7th at the gallery for the Port Orange Senior Living. And we recommend and encourage council members to attend. And I would also like to thank, again, the leaders, your team, your staff, for the support from the YCLE. Kristen Johansson and Emma Clark did an outstanding job. We had a wonderful young leaders, high school students that are just going to be strong champions in our community in the future. So we thank you for the partnership and your outstanding staff here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. With that, the next time we meet as a council is not until July 18th. So I would extend the invitation in just a couple of weeks. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to have a lot going on in Parks and Rec starting at 5:30 the night of July 4th here at City Center. We expect a very large crowd. The Chamber of Commerce has promised us excellent weather, so I hope to see everybody on July 4th. Have a good night, everybody.